Let's see if it's working. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. We're going to be talking about, I hate to admit it, we're going to be talking about what to do in a recession today. And before we do, let's jump off into a commercial you probably haven't seen. Here it goes.
Jump Sunday, jump Monday, jump Tuesday, jump Wednesday, jump Thursday, jump Friday, Saturday,
It's a man trying to jump through hoops.
Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Hoop jump. Does it ever feel like that? You're just jumping through hoops. Please continue to hold. Please continue to hold. So then he finds a ladder. He finds another hoop, which I didn't like. Then he finds an app, which is Tangerine. Uncomplicate your banking with Tangerine. Now he's not going through the hoops anymore. Okay, so I don't know. Let's read about this thing, okay? Ad of the day: Tangerine takes aim at bleak banks in Severance-style spot. Maybe I don't get it because I don't know what Severance, the movie Severance, is about. But this is from Amy Houston. Amy, I hope you can come to our meetup on Tuesday. Details at wdma.org. I'll send you a special invitation though. So Tuesday the 28th, we're having just a for fun meetup, and I invited a few other business writers to join us, and so let's see what happens. Anyway, there's a Canadian direct bank called Tangerine. So if you're not in Canada now, Steve Falk is in Canada. He might be back, so he might be able to give us some insight, or David Foley is in Canada, so he might be able to, but I have never seen this commercial. But anyway, in jumping through hoops, viewers see a worn-out looking man. The director said, "We looked for the most tired-looking man we could find." What a deal! Now the danger in this kind of commercial, made famous by the was it Burger King? Where's the beef? So these two little old ladies come to the counter and order burgers, and then they open it up, and there's a quarter size, not a quarter pounder, a U.S. minted quarter size hamburger patty inside there, and the lady says, "Where's the beef?" And before the days of going viral, it was a social phenomenon where everybody said, "Where's the beef?" And she had a very dour look. There's a good word for you to look up. It was like, "Where's the beef?" And so everybody, all the comedians on late night TV and everything, started talking about, whenever they didn't see the answer or they were expecting, or that it wasn't satisfying, they would say, "Where's the beef?" And yet sales did not go up. Okay, and this is the point of today's show. Sales did not go up. Sales went down, probably because people associated a very disappointing burger with the advertiser, which is what this is. Hi, Clayton. Good to see you today. And so you have to be really careful when you're going to put out a negative message, even if it's not really negative against any particular competitor, because what people take away is that your brand, in this case Tangerine, is making people jump through hoops. That's what's going on in my head. Hoops, 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 and then I see Tangerine. Okay, think about the pictures. Okay, there's no indication that Tangerine is better, that it solves the problem. He's sitting on a hoop, for heaven's sakes, when he looks up Tangerine. Okay, he has a smile on his face after that, but boy. Okay, so anyway, enough of that. David Foley chimed in. Tangerine is owned by Scotiabank. It has no branches, but operates as an online business. Recently dealing with them Reading my father's estate, Tangerine was very unresponsive. And that's the joke of it all, right? So now you get online, customer centric, and they don't even have a phone number. You can't even find a phone number, right? Is that the way it is? Finally, like for LinkedIn, I kind of just posted stuff, got a lot of likes. Actually, they responded to that. People who want customer service now go on Twitter and complain about the company. That's what I would suggest, David. Get on Twitter and start tagging Scotiabank. Don't tag Tangerine. There's probably no one there. It's all AI driven. Okay. So anyway, Nicole Germain, Chief Marketing Officer for Tangerine, said the set design had to be totally bleak. It's funny because when you look at the pharmacy ads, let's just look at the pharmacy ads. It's all flowers and bluebirds and happy meadows, and people are holding hands and life is great. And they're reading the copy that says, it may increase risk of suicide, or you may die from other interactions, or you may lose your mind or lose everything you have. But it's so happy and everybody, and escusia. Ask your doctor about escusia. Doesn't matter what's wrong with you. It'll make you feel happy. It's just the absolute opposite, and it shows you why big pharma is so successful. Okay, so here's another funny one from Ellen Ormesher. Ellen, you're invited also. You can come. The Drum, I've never really actually talked to anybody from the Drum that I can remember. But I really do like it. Your paywall's getting better, although I'm still able to get in and look at the articles. A majority of Americans can't name a single sustainable brand. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So let's put that in your advertising. Let's rest your brand on climate change. Okay. And never mind, it snowed last night, so I couldn't ride my motorcycle. 57% of U.S. consumers couldn't spontaneously identify any brand or company making a positive difference in any of three key areas: environment, diversity, and inclusion. Okay, but let's make that our brand identity. Where's Tom Fishburne on this one? He could make some great cartoons about this, and maybe he will. Maybe that'll be. Sometimes what I talk about turns up in Marketunist. It's pretty funny. Okay, and he did write me back this week, which I really appreciate, just the encouragement of it. Okay, and only certain demographics were engaged with the topic at all. And basically, you had to be making more than $125,000 a year and probably worked in an ad agency. Anyway, so why? Why is that? Experts say, and Deep D, and I'm not going to try and get that one. I'm sure it's phonetically easy. Executive Strategy Director, Iris North America, said, because consumers have wised up. You can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. I think that was Abraham Lincoln. They're easily identifying messages and commitments that are relatively superficial or performative. I love that. That's a great word. Moreover, the number of sustainability-based messaging, I don't think that's grammatically correct, has increased to the point of invisibility. Right. I remember in the middle of Black Lives Matter, in the debate about that, I think it was Shaquille O'Neal decided to work in his own neighborhood, in his own city. He lived out not in the bad neighborhood, but there was a poor side of town. There is in almost every town, in my little town. There's the down by the railroad tracks kind of place. And so I remember that he rolled up his sleeves and actually got it done. And that's the kind of message, do something in your town. Saving the world, plastic straws, or whatever the heck it is. Or, as one article mentioned, vegetable-based inks. It's all carbon, whether it comes from an oil well or it comes from a grease trap in a restaurant. It's still carbon, and it still takes some work to get it into something usable. But she adds, misleading green claims in specific sectors have been identified by governing bodies, which contributes to the increasing lack of consumer trust. So, to ensure that the good players aren't drowned out, Camilla Yates, strategy director at Elvis, advises brands need to ensure that they never compromise creativity for better world thinking. I have no idea what that is. And it's a long sentence. One of the things I noticed here was a lot of long sentences. If your ESG projects are making a significant difference, then that's a message worth investing in, not just to get your name on the roster of big ESG spenders. Wasn't that what Silicon Valley Bank was big on? ESG spending? I think it was. You got to be careful with this stuff, okay? But anyway, it turns out that Americans who make over $125,000 a year are much more likely to remember at least one brand supporting a cause. And the funny part was, and Ben Essen rightly points out, only 40% of the population is interested in sustainability. As I said the other day, the way that we get the world on track fighting pollution is to help the poorest get above the threshold of survival. And then they care about the air and water and their neighborhood and other things. I'm not a fan of Maslow, but but it's clear as a bell that good things happen when a company or a country gets a bit more prosperous. Okay, but so only 40% is interested in the message at all. So marketers target that 40%. The other 60 aren't listening and aren't even being talked to. Brilliant. Okay, Gen Z are less engaged with sustainable brands than marketers might assume. They proved more skeptical of the idea that companies have a responsibility to care about the environment. Good point. Maybe companies are responsible to their customers, to picking up the phone, to helping with customer service, right? To making a good product that doesn't need so much. And then it was funny. Malcolm Poynton said, unless you're Patagonia, and it was funny because the first thing that came to mind, I thought, well, can I name a sustainable brand? And the first thing that came to mind was Patagonia. No, it was REI, which is a competitor. And I thought, and I didn't even get it right. I got the wrong one. But Yvonne Chouinard, I think it is, said years ago, don't buy our stuff. Go buy a wool shirt at Goodwill. I remembered that part. Took me a while to find him and to find the Goodwill quote. But, unless you're willing to even diss your own brand in the name of your own sustainability, you're probably not going to stand out. Okay, so maybe my own advice to most of my clients was make good stuff, get it there as fast as you can. Good value, good stuff. Deliver what you sell. You'd be pretty much okay. Okay, in the recession. Now, this was an article by Joy Gendusa that I've covered before, so we're not going to take a lot of time. She was in the 2008. She was advised to cut back everything, and so she did. And all of a sudden, there were no leads. Not only were there, her main customers were real estate. And so she, all of a sudden the real estate bubble burst and the real estate went to nothing. It was very bad. And so her advisor said, you got to cut. And so she decided that was okay. We'll do that. And then she regretted it. and then she went back on it and decided that she had to go back to her pre-crash levels. And so this is an article about her experiences through the pandemic, and just an excellent article. But since I've covered it already, I'll include it in the show notes, which are available at wdma.org. You go there, you click on join, I think, and you subscribe. It's free, or you just type wdma.org/join and become a subscriber, which is free, and then go into the user thing there, the user members only. Here's an article from Forbes, pretty much the opposite point of view on sustainability. Oh, there's plenty of opposite view. Everybody says if you talk about sustainability, duck soup, man. Everybody, that's all they care about, especially Forbes. Okay, that's why I brought up the other article. We don't swim upstream here. I mean, we don't go with the flow. We swim against the tide, which is hard. Direct marketing strategy during a recession. This is from Patrick Carroll. And, Patrick has joined the word salad in a lot of ways in this article. But he says, compared to other slumps, today's economic position may not be so grim. Unemployment rates are at a historic low. Consumers are still spending. And 75% of recessions end within a year. We went through the history of recessions. I've been through 7 recessions now. And sometimes more traditional marketing channels win in recessions. So there's only been a couple since the internet even started that I've been through. So one thing you can do is reassess your goals, reevaluate your KPIs. Consider shifting from sales rate to brand awareness. Now, see, this is the opposite of what most people advise. Brand awareness is like top of funnel. It sounds like, well, don't worry about selling anything. Just get people aware of your company. For existing customers, go all in on customer retention and loyalty campaigns. But don't just beat them to death with email. Okay, this is the part I liked about it. I really like this part. Spend on incremental growth. The tricky part is, how do you know, right? And for my money, holdout tests are about the only good thing. And the problem with most digital channels is, let's get away from digital for a second. Let's talk about outdoor. Let's talk about the baseball diamond in your town, right? That has a Coca-Cola sign on it. Okay, Coca-Cola. Somebody went and hit up Coca-Cola and said, could you help us with our Little League park and chip in $1,000 to put up a Coca-Cola sign on the home run wall? Coca-Cola says, sure. Okay, so what's the incremental benefit of that sign? None. Not that you can measure. It's not measurable. Will somebody buy a little more Coke instead of Pepsi? Maybe. Can you tell? Okay, and as much as I've attacked the direct marketing definition over the years, where it says basically generate a measurable response, I now understand that what they were getting at was that a lot of the testing or a lot of the advertising doesn't generate anything that could be measured. Okay, it isn't that you just measure a bull that you could measure but you don't. It's also that a lot of advertising is not incrementally verifiable. Okay, now one of the good things about mail is that it generally is. Okay, in the old days when that was our main media, every time we would drop catalogs, we would see a sales bump. David Weirdsma at Everything to Go told me that even he started as a digital only B2B, and he said when he started to mail, he started seeing a sales bump, in spite of the fact that he had started mainly exclusively as a digital advertiser. Okay, so there are ways to advertise in ways that have measurable incremental benefit, and that's where you want to look in times of recession. And again, if you want to read the rest of the article, just go to wdma.org and subscribe. There's also a little button for the webinar to reserve your spot. One of these days, the last one we had, or the last Zoom call we had so many people, I didn't know what to do. So we may start limiting the number of tickets. Okay, so make sure you get in on it before I start getting crazy. And I'll probably send out another email today because I haven't since Friday. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye. I didn't show any of the articles today, did I?